Hi, everyone. I'm going to talk about my company, Being LLC. The website address, which I will post below afterwards, is www.activebeing.org. We are not a nonprofit. Being LLC is a training, education, and we're a training, education, and awareness company focused on looking at global and regional, national, everything. We are looking at information, creative, innovative solutions from everywhere to look at training those who are in human services, to look at the system and look at where we have pitfalls that are stopping displaced people from integrating successfully and quickly into the communities in which they are coming into. So we take a look at where the rates of displacement are, where we're getting, the reasons. We ask the questions why, and then we answer those questions, and we look at the current systems and where we can benefit from quickly fixing those, where it needs to be fixed, and the financial benefit of doing so, and where those finances could be better spent so that we can integrate and fix this problem very quickly. So that's what I do. Here is why my company is not a nonprofit. It is because I believe that my taxes are going to be well spent, at least state-wise, for programs that I'm going to fight for, such as Whole Washington, which is universal health care for Washington citizens. I want to be that person, be that somebody. My business, as soon as it has $1 over profit, why LLC over incorporation? It gives less protection. Mainly because of the ease of use. With my brain injuries, I need to keep everything very, very streamlined, very simple. I am a researcher. I can study. I can speak. I work within my limitations. That's how things go. I do things the way I do. And one thing that I'm good about is looking at systems and looking at the reality and looking at and pairing that with my own experiences. I've been in many, many vulnerable situations, subcultures, paired with my own studies and educational research. I feel that we have come upon some really good insights in how to shore up some system deficiencies that can really make a huge difference. So that's what I do. We also have an immediate outreach division, and I feel that this is really important. I feel that regardless of whether nonprofit company, whatever, you can be a company that does amazing good. My company is founded on changing systems. That doesn't mean that that company cannot sustain me as a human being. That's profit. That's what profit is. As soon as my company goes $1 over to, and it starts sustaining me as a human being, that's profit. And that's why it's going to be taxable for me. And I'm going to start really pushing programs that I believe are going to help those in need. And that's my personal standpoint. But our immediate outreach division is really cool. We started our first step kits, and that is on the basis of food, shelter, and water. Those are the first things I thought about. I came into Seattle, what they called gearless and fearless. Only had a camera. I had no tent, no anything really. And so I thought about, what are the basics? It's a tent, it's water, and food. And one of the things is about Seattle is there's food banks, there's ways to get food, but cooking it is a real hard time. So to have a connector that would go on propane, I thought, if I would have had a connector or even, thought about it, I would have immediately thought, okay, got a panhandle for propane, and then I'll go to a food bank and I can cook my food. I'm good. And so I was like, that's very helpful. So we have a little connector stove, and it goes in the tent the tent bag, and we have a life straw. That's the first step kit. Food, water, and shelter is the basis of that. And we've had some amazing donations from Seattle Dogs Homeless Program. Laura Ternosco Cook runs that. And that's been, socks and, things that she gets for people, because she hands out for dogs. And so we hand out for the people. And then when I have spare time, I, for her, make out puppy blankets so she can hand those out. It's a joint effort. And so we do the immediate outreach that way. And that is all donated. That is all donated time and resources. And that's very exciting. I'm really, really excited about that. Now we're going to get into why we are called being. We deal with beings. That means that around the world, we have displaced beings. And that means as things progress, humanity is humanity. Human behavior is human behavior. And borders really don't define humanity and human behavior. And when people are in need and people are displaced, they display, it happens in a certain manner. Mass migration, there becomes political instability, and as we get further into climate change, we start seeing more natural disasters, we start seeing more brutality towards the impoverished, we start seeing laws being passed that are coming upon quality of life laws that are targeted towards the poor. So these things all take effect. And then what we have is we have systems in place that we think are there to shore up the difficulties. And we have people that are unaware that those systems carry barriers, which the problem is the unawareness, the miseducation of the public about those barriers and what those systems are. Really the miseducation of where their money is going. I think many times in nonprofits in our systems, there is a tendency to ignore, push aside, and many times a miseducation among selves of what those programs are. And that takes a lot of research, education, and really experience. And so that's what I hope to bring to the table. And by educating people on this and really broadening our horizons and using the tools that are available to us. Technology is wonderful, and it can span, and we can connect with people, and we can integrate faster if we use these tools. And right now, there's no reason not to. And this carries a huge financial benefit to all of us. To understand and know what to do and have this education carries a huge financial benefit and can release some of the misuse and mismanagement of these funds. Because I think that a lot of the misuse and a lot of the mismanagement is in the miseducation and the not knowing. I don't think a lot of it is malicious. I think that it is a misunderstanding of the resources available and where the money needs to go and what would be the best use of funding. And so that is where my training program comes in. And the reason that we use the term displaced is because at this point, and the reason that I use the term beings is because I work with not only organizations that deal with humans, I deal with organizations that also deal with animals, and environmental causes as well. Clean potable water is a huge one. Animals are a huge one. During Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria, so many died. And this hits hard for me. I have Rowan. This is my family member. And I know for many it is the same. I care about beings. And in my company, we use the term displaced because when you have lost a home, you are displaced. You are displaced from said home. When you have nowhere to go, you are displaced. You are a displaced person. Being without an address, it is a different feeling. It is a lesser feeling. A simple question on on an application what is your address? Nobody ever thinks of that, really. Have you ever tried telling an employer you don't have one? Just a thought. So, we use the term displaced. And I'm so excited about where we're going with this and the work that we have already done and the work that we're going to continue to do. And so there's that. Now, on the second part of this, I just want to say that I want to impart some information to people. In what we are facing this year, hurricane season is going to be worse than last year. We are already seeing in our country natural disasters hitting us pretty hard. Fire season last year tore us up. Thousands were displaced from their homes last year due to natural disasters. For example, in just one scenario, Hurricane Harvey, when some of those people, and that's some, but this is not, and I'm using this as an example, but this is not by far the only place that this happened. When people were displaced, the landlords continued charging rent. When they did not pay because they were displaced because of the natural disaster, they had an eviction on their record. It doesn't matter really how hard they try now. Getting housing is very improbable. Please be aware of this in your communities. Please be aware of people taking advantage of the vulnerable. This is going to hit hard. When a person becomes displaced, their mortality rate drops. The longer they are out, the more it drops. Please be aware. It has nothing to do with their behavior. It just has to do with them being displaced. There are many things that go along with this issue, such as human trafficking rises during mass displacement. If you look at the global figures, there are hundreds of thousands of children missing right now. The United States, it is on the rise. As more people are displaced, more people take advantage of the vulnerable. These issues all go together. And that is why it is so important to be educated and to be aware. And for me, it is so important to study and to research and to consistently work as fast as possible to make a change. And that's what my company is founded on. So that's what that is. And I'm very excited about it. And I'm excited that maybe excited isn't the right word. Maybe it's just like really hopeful. Like really hopeful that we're going to save some lives. Quickly. So. Bye.